Alright, we're back, guys. Kind of try to see if you can see the LCD here. Might make things a little bit easier. We'll hit the LR mix. That's our main mix. Right now you can see the faders are at 0 because everything's muted. And so we're going to just kind of put the faders where they should be, roughly speaking. Unmute the violin, yellow, red, lead, red, green, blue, headset, stereo, effects, vocals, and main LR out. So you got that. And remember, you got flying faders, so it'll remember all of the fader positions. So we'll go into a acoustic guitar. That's kind of easy. Once I hit the select button, you notice you see those channels, the first 8 channel banks. Drums are a little different. That's DCA. That's just the number of channels faders. Basically, what the DCA does is it takes these, for instance, let's go into the drums again. So if I hit that, you'll usually see kick, snare, high tom, low tom, hi-hat, and overhead. These channels here are drum channels. It'll take the faders at these positions and it'll output them at this position. So it's kind of like summing them, everything together, kind of grouping them into a single group and then fading them out into the main mix at certain levels. For vocals, we got the yellow, red, and Simeon. That's the lead vocal. We'll change names per week depending on who's on the lead, so that kind of makes it easier on the personal mixers and the app to see who is who. So these are actual colors with the exception of the leader. It's lavender rather than actually assign the color because we're using yellow, red, green, blue mic for yellow, red, green, blue mic. Right, that's kind of logical, right? Let's see, and headset is for headset. So DCA. So basically, at this point, Simeon will be louder than everybody else, and it'll be faded, and it'll mix out to unity at 0 dB, and it'll go on to 0 dB, so to speak. Not quite the right terms, but you get the idea. All right, so we'll go into acoustic guitar select. So you'll see a lot of information on here, and I'm going to try to see if I can zoom it in. There it goes. And kind of, there we go. So you'll see at the top, you'll see the preamp gain level, high pass filter, gate, EQ, compressor, and pan. Don't worry about the values here right now because we're not really connected to anything. We don't have the actual snake from Marshall, so these values will read 0. Once it's actually connected to the snake unit, it'll remember what the setting was that is set at the snake unit, and it'll recall with correct values. You see the little thing here, that's the meter. It'll read actually what the level is coming in. So that's a handy way of looking at it. High pass filter, basically it's gonna kill anything below a certain frequency. It's going to knock it down to 0. You'll see a little bit more in the EQ screen. Gate, once you have to hit a certain volume to actually let the sound out. At certain volumes, it'll not let the sound in, but after a while, depending on how deep you set the gate, it'll let the sound in or not in. So it might be one of those situations with the drum kits. Let's go into the drums. You'll see a lot of them has the gate set so it doesn't add additional bleed. You just get the actual sound from the microphones, the source that you're wanting to capture. Going back to the acoustics, EQ shapes the sound, adds or subtracts certain frequencies. And compressor, it's like a little automatic volume gain thing. Let's see, at certain volumes, it'll knock the volume down. Once you hit that certain volume threshold, it'll knock the volume down to something more reasonable. We're not going to get into super detail here. There's plenty of resources on YouTube to get to learn a little bit more about that. And finally, panning, whether it goes to left or right speakers. All of those things you can actually control from these set of knobs. Preamp, high pass filter, gate, compressor, just the threshold, and the pan. So I'm going to use the pan. You can see if I go pan left, you can see the LEDs here. Along with the information here, it correlates. This is not the most exact on the LEDs, but it can give you an idea of how much it's panned. So if it's just L is just lit up by itself, it's panned all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and when it's green, all the way to the center. and depends on how you might want to pan it. You can kind of gauge, but doesn't really give you too much information other than that. Let's see. On this side, you see the EQ, you see the high frequency, high medium, and low filter. With frequency and gain, we'll get into this a little bit more once you get there. Let's see. And this right here, this is nothing's gonna happen because there's nothing going into it. LR, that's the amount of sound that's actually going in. You see the PAFL. If I select the PAFL in certain channels, that'll allow me to hear that channel exclusively outside of the mix. I have it set such that it's giving me pre-fader. So it's I think it's most of the processing before it actually goes out. I have to double check. So PAFL, and you can see it's additive. That means I can select multiple channels to solo or PAFL, PFL. Depends on the mixer and manufacturer, the language changes. Towards the end of the service, I might just do this, PAFL the panic, along with the stereo, so I can hear Simian give instructions, or whoever's in the lead instruction, give instructions to the band so I know what they're doing, and also adjust the mix accordingly. But during the actual mix, I don't use the headphones, I just listen to the mix and whatnot. And right here, this is the headphone jack. It's not in the shot, so I'll frame it so you can see it. Expose it correctly. There you go. Headphone jack and headphone knob volume. It'll allow me to listen to the PAFL or to the entire mix if there's no PAFL selected. All right, let's get back. I'm gonna expose the screen according to. There it goes. Going back to the acoustic channel, gonna hit the preamp. Actually, I'm gonna actually go back, hit the library. This is all the settings. So for the instruments, for the most part, they sound similar enough that you can get away with it. But if you want to be super sure, you can actually save and recall per instrument basis. And notice how I have the recall preamp and recall name lit. That means it'll recall the gain volume along with the name that I have saved on the strip. And we'll go into the user. If we store new, I can type in name, hold it, and it'll stay in all caps, acoustic example. I actually saved it as acoustic. Can't tell. Nope, did not save, so we'll try that again. So if you want to save, store new under user, ACOUSTIC space EXAMPLE acoustic example, and hit OK. And then right there, so I'm going to just make some additional changes. Say, do something really, really bad. And oh no, my acoustic guitar sounds really honky, really weird. Then I'm gonna go back to the main strip, hit library, find my acoustic example under user, not factory, user, hit recall, and then bang. Whatever was previously, I have recalled. So it's a good way of saving lots of profiles, and then that's a good ballpark to start from. You'll probably need to make individual changes per set because everybody's vocal is different, instrument sounds different with the weather and whatnot. A lot of variables, but this will give you a good place to start with.